MSB here, and welcome to another episode of MSBvP, where I break down the plays in one of my games of Faëria. Faëria is a strategy DTCG that is just about to enter its closed beta phase. You can get in on the action when Faëria's Kickstarter goes live on or about September 30th. If you'd like to learn more about the basics of this game, check out my Serious Business Basics video by clicking the link at the end of this video, as we'll be jumping right into some deep mechanics. Now let's get started. In this game, I'm playing a red control deck, and my opponent is playing a red and green bruiser deck. I'm trying to lock down my opponent, and he's trying to ramp into bigger and bigger creatures while maintaining early and mid-game pressure. Early game starts with me getting out a Trow Miner for gold production and drawing into a Goblin Explosion. I take out one of his mountains, since at this point I only see red represented in his deck, and I want to cripple him. But this ends up having a startling impact late game. More on that later. I sinkhole his Faëria collector, and he makes a beeline for me, finally revealing that he has a dual resource deck. His early game pressure isn't scary though, and I know it's just a matter of time before my Goblin Mentor can push his troops into the path of my Earth Golem. I manage to eventually wrangle his troops into fighting distance, again using the Goblin Mentor to my advantage, when suddenly an icy chill of realization goes down my spine as we hit late game. Remember that early game Goblin Explosion? Well, it ended up cutting off any land route to my opponent's orb, and with me being barricaded in on the right and left sides, I can't build any more lands to reach him. Now let's freeze it here. I have one last Goblin Explosion in my deck. It's in my hand, and I have a few potential points on which I could use it. If I had destroyed my opponent's land anywhere but here, he would have been able to extend his forest line and shut me off from his orb. Since he had already dealt damage to me, he would have won when the 20-minute timer ran out. Interestingly, if my opponent had preemptively placed a land here, even my one out would have been shut down, since he could have closed off the breach here. The concept of land aggression on this hex-based map is totally unique to Faëria, and is one of the absolute best parts of the strategic elements this game has to offer. Luckily for me, he may have thought I had no options, and as such, I just barely managed to break through his landlock, surrounded his orb, and quickly dispatched it before his reinforcements arrived. This was a great game which showcased some of the best parts of Faëria, and I had to congratulate my opponent for putting me in such a tight spot. Thanks for watching this episode of MSBvP. If you liked it, please take the time to subscribe, and be sure to leave a comment if you'd like more Faëria content on my channel. As always, I'm MSB, wishing you good games and good times.